Oh, hi people, Marino Ray from back here again. Yeah, now sorry if it's bothering anyone that I'm wearing my glasses. The reason I'm doing so is because I woke up not too long ago and my eyes might still be a bit droopy. So I wanted to circumvent that. Anyways, as you can tell based on the header as usual of this subject matter, of this video, the subject matter or topic is going to be what is the acceptable age, factually speaking, for when someone leaves their elderly household or elderly house, or when someone stops living with their parents and starts living on their own. Now this is a somewhat complicated subject from a neutral point of view, and the answer depends on a range or a variety of factors. But in general, based on my knowledge and experience, and again facts, the acceptable age globally, universally, for moving out of your parents' their house and living on your own would be 25. Roughly estimated 25. In third world countries, for example, people have a tendency to live with their parents, statistically speaking, with their parents well until they're at least 30 or some past that even, which I find offensive. But again, simply put, the reasons for that is because the majority of these so-called people are work less than nothing parasites. They don't live close to their family or within close proximity because they love each other. Otherwise, that would be justified and I would be okay with it, so to speak. But they do so because they want to mooch and or leech off of one another. They literally want to suckle on each other's hypothetical teeth. And they simply want to do so by for the sake of cutting corners and cutting expenses in terms of cost of living, and thereby coming out on a monthly basis or periodical basis as cheaply as possible. And yeah, essentially most work less than nothing cesspool countries, or like the one I'm in, obviously, is currently. They're like that, okay? You've got like 8-9 people living on a patch of land that's only a couple of 100 square meters, and you've got several houses on them. You know, it's very slave-ish, I want to say, very slave-like. Since slaves also used to live like that, you know, you had several crappy shacks on one yard. It's offensive, honestly, to any self-respecting individual, but yeah. I already said why they do so. They do so because they're greedy parasites. It's like when you go into a sewer and you see a rat. When you see one rat, that almost never will you come across, otherwise it's one hell of a rat. You will almost never come across a solo rat, a rat that's on its own. If you see one, that means that there's a whole horde nearby or somewhere lurking in the shadows, so to speak. You know, because rats are parasites, they're vermin, and with them it's all about strength in numbers. And they want to leech off of each other. You know, one rat has a small loaf of bread and he brings it back to the nest, and you know, the rest just completely gorgeous themselves on it, and I think it's like one crumb of rat, so to speak. But anyways, you get the gist of it, okay? You get my point. I've heard this time and over again, and I know that this is a fact. I'm not saying that in well-developed countries or in locations around the world that this is not present, but statistically speaking, it's a minority. The absolute majority you'll find in the countries the likes of, or the locations the likes of which I described. Now, generally speaking, other factors aside from what I just said that come into play are, again, your location, the cost of living, the national average income, you name it. The person's state of mind, the person's whether the person is someone that has good, strong morals or not. You name it. All of these things come into play. But the general acceptable age is 25 years old. I, for example, have lived on my own since I was what? Let me see. Just give me a brief moment. Let me just calculate. Let me do the math really quick in my head. 25. Well, by sheer coincidence, I didn't put myself up as an example, but I was 25 when I moved out of my parents' house. And the reason for why I did so was because I wanted to live on my own as quickly as possible and as adequately as possible. Of course, make no mistake, this is including delays and every other thing you can think of. Otherwise, I would have lived on my own a long time. Even before that, in my 20s. I think I would have lived on my own if I were 20 years old already. But it was 25 due to delays. Okay, unfortunate delays. It was 25. But see, even then, with the delays, 25. And granted, I struggled for a good while. I struggled for like slightly over a decade. I think 12 years old. Over 12 years. I struggled for over 12 years until I really made my own stride and I really got things going and all of that. Like I said, location plays a substantial factor, or is a substantial factor. It plays a substantial role and or part. Okay, so in a location like mine, you're with your back against the wall, and that is one hell of an understatement. But in any case, generally speaking, no, that's it. That's the acceptable age for when you should live on your own. And with me, it was all about the principle. I wanted to live on my own as fast as possible ever since I was a child, because when you live on your own, I already covered this in a previous video that you'll find in the end screen at the end of this video. Why it's better to be an adult than a child. Because it's just better, the general reasons. As an adult, you're respected, you're seen as a member of society, you have total autonomy, total independence, whereas as a child, you're dependent, you're not respected. People view you as lesser essentially because of your age. And yeah, that's another reason. For the rest, it's simply about emotional and mental maturity. But if you live with your parents, do you expect to become emotionally mature or mentally mature? No, of course not. Okay. The only drawback I can think of is that you might struggle for a while, but that doesn't matter in my opinion. It's necessary. Adversity is necessary to gain emotional maturity. When you live on your own, you're going to have to do everything yourself. You don't have mommy and daddy bluntly put to wipe your ass for you anymore. So, provided they did so, okay, or under the condition that they did so. And and when you do so, you'll actually be able to get things done, Even if it means doing things the hard way, you'll be able to get it done because you'll learn through sheer force, and that's what it's all about. That will automatically see to it that you grow and that you flourish and that you actually learn the core values of independence, and that you experience it for yourself, and total independence, which means doing things for yourself and not having someone else do it for you out of the sake of convenience or pampering you or whatever. I'm very much against those, I'm very much against all of that. It's just, in my opinion, it's not opinion, it's vapid, end of story. No self-respecting person will want their parents to keep doing things for them or living under their roof until you're what? I've seen those types until you're well in your 30s or 40s. Imagine. Not only that, society in general, despite all of its misconceptions, society does not look fondly or keenly upon people that are like that. Imagine. What's the general consensus? People are going to see you as a loser. Doesn't matter who you are. They're going to view you as lesser. Again, they're going to see you as lesser because it basically says to the world that you're a failure. You're an adult. You're supposed to be autonomous and you're supposed to be completely independent, wholly independent, and yet you still live with your parents as if you were an infant. You were a juvenile, and it's just inexcusable. In no possible universe is it acceptable, so to speak. And yet you still have those types. You have grown ass men and women that are 35, that are 40, that live with their parents, and the absolute majority still live with their parents. And make no mistake, there are exceptions. I'm not going to say that that's not the case. I repeat, there are exceptions. But the vast majority, or like I mentioned when I first started out this video in the beginning, they want to leech off of their parents. They're worthless parasites. I'm not attacking anyone, but it's a matter of whom the shoe fits, whom the parasitic shoe fits, if you will. If you feel offended, then that's on you. It's all you, not me. That says enough about you, not about me. Then yeah, they just want to leech off of their parents. They're too lazy and too worthless and too inadequate to actually pave their own way. And as a result, or as a measure, they simply leech off of their parents. They simply want to suckle off of them as much as possible so that they don't have to pay for any of the basic expenses, life expenses such as a roof over their heads and other things such as food and whatnot. The more I think about it, the more offended I get, honestly. I really it ticks you off. It just absolutely pisses you off. Especially someone like me. I mean, you can't be more low vibrational, so to speak, than that. It's just revolting. Absolutely revolting. Absolutely parasitic. The exceptions that I was referring to earlier are, for example, people that genuinely love their family, okay, because they get along well with each other. They're like besties, BFFs and all of that. And they simply want to be close to each other. Although even I, honestly, psychologically speaking, I would not recommend it. Because it's not psychologically healthy to be that close to relatives and or family members. It's not, for example, even living with your parents, whether it's on the same land, it's on the same complex. It's not even healthy psychologically, what I mean. It's not even healthy psychologically to have like an aunt or uncle living like a block away from you. It is not healthy. In the same way that it's not healthy, for example, to live right next to your school. You know what I mean? To live right next to, if you're a teenager, to have your parental house be literally only like a block away or one street away from where your actual residence is. Nah, it's not healthy. Okay? Nothing good in general can come of it. If there are any benefits at all, then these are minor and they're going to be overshadowed by the drawbacks. As a child, you can imagine, your for example, your peers, your thingy, the other people that you get along well with at school or don't get along well with. In any case, the other students just walking past your house and they're like, hey, this is where thingy lives. Imagine that, like me, for example. Hey, this is where Marino lives. How annoying children can be. Marino, your yard is ugly, this and that. They're going to say a bunch of stupid shit. They're going to say a bunch of annoying things that are that will literally leave you feeling what? Exactly. They'll leave you feeling that they'll make you wish that you did not live that close to the school. That's my point. You're not supposed to live that close. Even work, you're not supposed to live that close to work. Work can be like 2 blocks away, no problem. But not a block away to the point where you live a stone throw away from work, from your actual location of employment. It's just, no. Okay. Honestly, in some situations, obviously the convenience of distance is there, but still, I'm not saying that you should live really far away from where you work. But my point is that your colleagues should not be able to pinpoint your house as in, oh, look, he lives over there. Oh, look at that. It's just, no. You're giving people fodder to use against you. You're giving people baggage that they can use against you, ammunition that they can use against you. And as lowly as people can be, you know what they're like, especially the low vibrational ones. They'll gossip amongst each other and gossip about your house and all of that crap. It's just, no. But anyways, yeah, like I said, in relation to the core subject of living on your own, those are the reasons. Except another exceptional case that I can think of is if there is some crisis ongoing in your country of residence where you really have no other choice but to live with your parents. For the rest, it's not acceptable, honestly. Even if you're a parent and a child almost begs and pleads to stay with you, the reasons are not good. I remember reading a story about a family in the Netherlands once, I think when I was a teenager, where parents, the parents you had people, and you had a family where a daughter and her boyfriend lived with their parents, and the daughter obviously became pregnant at some point, and the parents simply talked to them and told them, hey, listen, why don't you move out? The mother, especially the mother, she insisted that, and she spoke to the daughter and told her, hey, listen, you should want to live on your own. She did it in a good, wholesome way, the way you're supposed to, as in, hey, listen, you're supposed to want to live on your own at your age. I think they were 20-somethings, they were going on 30. The daughter as well as her boyfriend were going on 30 years old. And the daughter just kept coming up with pathetic excuses but mom, I want to live here, I like it here so much, and blah, blah, blah. And the boyfriend was on their side. You name it. I can't come up with the specific reasons for what she mentioned anymore. This was a really long time ago, like 25 years ago. I was a kid when I read this story. But see, this is another example. This is a perfect example. And the mother started feeling bad about herself and said she feels almost like a mother bird almost pushing her baby, her screeching baby out of the nest. But my point is, the daughter is wrong in this, Some tough love would be in order. Honestly, I would have spoken to you, if I were the mother, I would have spoken to you neatly the way she did. And if the child still won't budge after giving her the talk, quote unquote, the talk twice, then I seriously might have contemplated. I would have spoken to my husband and I would have said, hey, listen, we need to do something, as in, we might have to forcibly remove her. And it might sound harsh, but no, that's not the case. I don't care. In that example, I don't care if my daughter resents me or not, as well as her boyfriend. I don't care. Because the reasons that the daughter is bringing up are not good, okay? You can still love your family, but seriously. And it's obvious that the daughter has a hidden agenda in the sense that she's simply doing it for the sake of convenience. When she's living with her parents, all she has to do is sit on her sorry ass, or sorry pregnant ass, and she doesn't have to do anything. You know what I mean? She just has to, and the boyfriend obviously is on board with it. It makes life easier for them. They simply want to mooch off of, I wouldn't go so far as to call them parasites, but they simply want to take advantage of the convenience that comes along with not having to provide for yourself. Because mommy and daddy are there, you get a free roof over your head, you get a couple of square meals a day. No! You should want to live on your own regardless of how hard it is. And that's my point. And the mother went about it the right way with the talk. I will agree to that, definitely. Okay, she didn't react too aggressively, but at the same time she also toned it down. You name it, but I don't know how the story ended up, but I would have taken it a step further, I'm not gonna lie. I would have openly said, I'm gonna have to commit to tough love now. Okay? I'm gonna throw you out, you've got like 2 months. You can cry and squeal all you want. No. You might resent me for it, I don't care. Okay, even if the relationship between us grows frigid. That says something about the daughter, Basically means that you're raised like a parasite kind of daughter that wants to leech off of you. End of story. No. It's just inexcusable. My point is, regardless of the difficulties, you should want to live on your own because it builds character and basically you really become an adult and it has nothing to do with the material. You could end up alongside the street. Again, that's all on you. But my point is, the concept of fully providing for yourself and being completely independent and autonomous, okay, builds character like there's no tomorrow. In my case, I literally did it under the worst of circumstances you can think of. When I moved out on my own, boy did I struggle materially, because of my location. Everything is so expensive and the cost of living is high, the national average income is laughably low. In such a situation, for example, no one gave me a chance, not a chance in hell. And because that's the general rule over here, no one gives you, if you live on your own under those circumstances, or you want to live on your own, or you move out, it's more or less a death sentence for reasons I already mentioned. You make a couple of $100 a month and rent alone for a place is like $120, $130 without you having even covered utility-based expenses like food and groceries and stuff like that, let alone unexpected expenses. then you can see for yourself how you won't even make paycheck to paycheck. You can see for yourself, okay, where that's coming from. So obviously, no one gave me a chance. Not that I give a rat's ass, nor will I ever, about what anyone thinks, but hypothetically speaking, so-called onlookers or observers did not give me a chance, as in, yeah, you know, you're not going to make it, you're not going to be able to get shit done, you're not going to do anything, because even adults have difficulty making ends meet. So someone like that moving on his own, living on his own, etc., at such an age, now people don't give you a chance, okay, locally or domestically, they don't give you a chance. Not that I care, like I said, I knew that I could do it, and like I said, boy did I struggle. I really just struggled. Like I said, life was living paycheck to paycheck and below for approximately a little over a decade before I really came into my own being. But yet, see, I did it. And I did it all on my own. I did it all on my own by pushing myself mercilessly and brutally and consistently. I did it on my own. And did it build character? That's the understatement of the century. That's one of the reasons for why I am who I am nowadays. Okay, I'm 35, I turned 36 this year, and I could live on my own, to say the least. I have been doing so, and I've been doing so comfortably for the past years, even if I say so myself, in excess even. Not that that matters to me. Well, there is no in excess as far as I'm concerned, obviously. There is no limit to me, or for me. But yeah, compare that to in my location where someone my age, are you kidding me? Someone my age, even if they do live on their own, you better believe that they're sweating their asses off and they can barely wipe their own ass, and that's going to stay that way pretty much for the rest of their lives. I think they'll be living on their own, and they'll be able to do so, okay, at paycheck to paycheck level once they're 40 years old, 45, 50 even. You know, the misery never ends. The misery never ends over here. But yeah, see, that's my case. Pure and simple reason that you need to remember, and that you need to, and that will easily stick in your head, or stick in your head the easiest. It builds character. The answer to the question, why live on your own, okay, and why it's better to live to simply live independently on your own instead of with your parents, because it builds character, period. Bye bye.